There is a question many people across Africa and even the world have quietly asked for decades. How did one ethnic group with no central government wealth, no oil dominance at the beginning, and a history marked by war and loss rise again and again? How did they rebuild from almost nothing into one of the most economically vibrant and entrepreneurial societies on the continent? The answer is not what most people think. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's not even just hard work. The answer lies deep within a powerful, often misunderstood system, a system of internal competition. In Igbo society, your greatest rival is not a stranger. It is your brother, your cousin, your village mate. And yet, this rivalry does not destroy. It builds, it sharpens, it elevates. Tonight, we explore the invisible engine behind Igbo prosperity, a social fabric woven with ambition, pride, pressure, and an unspoken rule. If he can do it, I must do better. At the heart of Igbo society lies a paradoxical principle. Onyaha na nwanne ya. Do not abandon your brother. On the surface, it promotes unity, cooperation, and communal survival. But beneath it lies something deeper. Because in Igbo culture, helping your brother does not mean staying at the same level. It means pulling him up and then trying to climb higher yourself. This creates a unique dual force, cooperation and competition. Young boys grow up watching their uncles, older brother, and neighbors build houses, open shops, travel abroad, and succeed. And instead of being satisfied, they feel a silent pressure. I must not be the one left behind. This is where internal competition begins, not from hatred, but from expectation. In many societies, competition is external, but in Igbo land, competition is local. The village becomes the first scoreboard of success. Who built the biggest house? Who sent their children abroad? Who hosted the grandest events? Who hosted the grandest burial? Who employs the most people? These are not just achievements, they are status signals, and every young person grows up seeing them. When someone returns home during Christmas with a new car, the message is loud and clear. Success is visible and it will be measured. This creates a powerful psychological effect. Nobody wants to be invisible. One of the strongest engines of this internal competition is the Igbo apprenticeship system. A young boy is sent to learn under a master. For years, he serves, learns, and observes. But here's the key. He's not being trained to remain a servant. He's being prepared to surpass the master. When he is settled, given capital to start his own business, the real competition begins. Now, he must prove that he can succeed, that he can grow bigger, that he can one day train others. This creates a continuous circle: master, apprentice, and new master. Each generation trying to outdo the previous one. In Igbo society, pride is not hidden. It is expressed, displayed, celebrated. A man's success is his identity, and failure is difficult to hide. This creates a powerful emotional driver. Ego becomes fuel. I cannot be the one without a house. I cannot come home empty-handed. I must prove myself. This is not always comfortable, but it is effective because discomfort breeds action. From a young age, Igbo children hear statements like, "Look at your mate. Your brother has done this. What about you? We expect more from you." These are not just words, they are social programming. Family becomes both a support system and a pressure system. And while this pressure can be intense, it often produces resilience. Because giving up is not a personal failure, it is a family disappointment. Success in Igbo culture is not private. It is public. Housewarming ceremonies, title-taking events, lavish burials, community donations. These are not just celebrations. They are announcements. I have made it. And when others see this, the cycle continues. Because inspiration quickly turns into competition. In many cultures, failure ends ambition. In Igbo society, failure often intensifies it. A failed businessman is not written off. He is expected to try again and again and again because the environment around him does not allow permanent defeat. Someone he knows is succeeding, and that becomes motivation. When Igbos travel abroad, they carry this internal competition with them. In cities across the world, London, Guangzhou, Houston, and Johannesburg, Igbo communities recreate the same system. Who owns more businesses? Who invests back home? Who builds the best houses in the village? Distance does not kill the competition, it amplifies it. Unlike systems where wealth exits the community, Igbo internal competition keeps wealth circulating. Apprentices are settled, relatives are supported, new businesses are funded. This creates a self-reinforcing economic loop because today's competitor is tomorrow's collaborator. But this system is not perfect. Internal competition can also lead to excessive pressure, comparison anxiety, overspending to impress, rivalry turning toxic. Sometimes the desire to outdo others leads to debt, stress, and broken relationships. This is the price of a high-performance culture. Despite its flaws, this system works because it creates constant motivation, continuous improvement, economic replication, and generational progress. It ensures that no success is isolated. It must be matched or surpassed. As the world changes, will this system survive? The answer is likely yes, because it is not written in laws, it is written in mindset. But it must evolve. Less pressure, more collaboration, and smarter competition. If balanced correctly, this internal competition will not just sustain Igbo prosperity, it will expand it globally. So the next time you see an Igbo businessman rise, or a young entrepreneur succeed against the odds, look deeper. Behind that success is not just hard work. It's a system, a culture, a silent competition that never sleeps. A race where everyone is running, not to destroy each other, but to prove something to themselves, to their families, to their community. And maybe this is the real secret. If you found this eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because here, we don't just tell stories, we uncover the forces shaping Africa's future. See you in the next video.